We envision a world transformed in which humanity in all its diversity has developed a shared reverence for life on earth. Religious and spiritual communities everywhere generate a moral awakening to the sacredness of earth and the dignity of all people. Together we are building a resilient, caring communities and economies that meet everyone's needs and protect the planet. The era of conquest, extraction, and exploitation has given way to cooperation and community. The good life is one of connectedness with each other and all of nature. It is a world of flourishing life that replaces despair with joy, scarcity with shared abundance, and privilege with justly distributed power.
My name is Matthew Shinneman. In case you didn't know, they have rebooted the Magic School Bus, have a brand new version of it. It is very good. I watch it with my children all the time, and that is a clip from the new version. Just as they turned into insects and trees, I'm going to do the same with you. I encourage you to get comfortable, to close your eyes, take a deep breath in, and notice how your body feels. Notice how your mind feels. Take a couple of long, slow breaths in and out. In and out. And begin to let go and relax. Relax your body and your mind. Take another full breath in and out, and relax your legs and your arms. Breathe in. And as you breathe out, relax your abdomen and your chest. Breathe in again. And as you breathe out, relax your face and your head. Now take a moment to imagine a sunny meadow. It's the summertime, and the meadow is carpeted with grasses and wildflowers. And in the middle of the meadow, you see a large, beautiful old tree. It can be any type of tree you want, but take a good look at that tree. This tree is your special tree, and you can imagine it any way you want. Notice its overall shape and color. Notice its leaves and its branches. Notice any flowers or berries it may have, any nuts or pods just beginning to form. Gaze at your tree with its many branches and begin to walk toward it. Feel the sun shining down its gentle warmth on you as you walk toward the tree. Breathe in the fresh, clean air around you. As you get closer, notice that the air is even fresher and more pure. When you reach the tree, walk around it slowly. Look up into its brown branches and notice all of the leaves waving in the gentle breeze. Put your hand out and feel the texture of the bark around the large, old trunk. When you have walked almost all the way around the tree, imagine a rope ladder hanging from one of the lower branches of your tree. Now climb up that ladder into the tree. And imagine that today, climbing into your tree is as easy as lowering yourself into a comfy chair. You have all of the strength and agility that you need to fully explore your tree. Wherever you want to go in your tree, a ladder appears so that you can easily explore that part of the tree. As you are climbing, you encounter many creatures that live or visit the tree. If you see a bird or a spider or any other creature, greet it with a nod and thank it for sharing its tree with you. And if you wish, now climb to the very top of that tree. Take about 10 seconds to continue to explore your tree. This is all the time that you need. Now that you have explored your tree, find a comfortable place to rest. Maybe there's a spot near the main trunk where a branch comes out at a perfect angle to form a seat. Sit down here or any other comfortable spot. Relax and think about the wonderful time you have had exploring your tree. Now, slowly open your eyes. There may not be a more you holiday than Earth Day. Our seventh principle says that we affirm and promote the interconnected web of all existence, of which we are a part. We do not own the domain of Earth, we share it with nature and its many creatures. And it is our call as Unitarian Universalists to care for that Earth. And I hope this guided meditation helped you feel just that much more connected to this beautiful place that we call home. Blessed be, and amen.
Listen more often to things than to beings. Listen more often to things than to beings. 'Tis the ancestors' breath when the fire's voice is heard. 'Tis the ancestors' breath in the voice of the waters. Those who have died have never, never left. The dead are not under the earth. They are in the rustling trees. They are in the groaning woods. They are in the crying grass. They are in the moaning rocks. The dead are not under the earth. So listen more often to things than to beings. Listen more often to things than to beings. 'Tis the ancestors' breath when the fire's voice is heard. 'Tis the ancestors' breath in the voice of the waters. Those who have died have never, never left. The dead have a pact with the living. They are in the woman's breast. They are in the wailing child. They are with us in our homes. They are with us in this crowd. The dead have a pact with the living. So listen more often to things than to beings. Listen more often to things than to beings. 'Tis the ancestors' breath when the fire's voice is heard. 'Tis the ancestors' breath in the voice of the waters.
Today's reading is by Jeremy Barnes from his book, Our Green Cathedral, and it is called A Prayer for the Bees. We call on you, O winged spirit of sweetness. Teach us the ways of transformation and renewal, the path from nectar to honey, from pollen to paternity. Teach us to taste the essence of each place as we alight, as we continue the cycle of creation and delight. Teach us the ways of hope, reminding us that what seems impossible may not yet be in sight. Dance us ever closer to the wisdom hidden within beauty and beauty hidden within wisdom. Grant us passion and productivity, flight and sunlight, cooperation with our fellow hive mates, and sharpened strength to defend our home. May we ever spiral outward from our hearts, searching for what we need, and return home once again, bringing the bounty of nature and the blessings of life. We ask this in the name of all species on this planet we call home.
We, the member congregations of the Unitarian Universalist Association, covenant to affirm and promote respect for the interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part. The first Earth Day was celebrated on April 22nd, 1970, 52 years ago as of Friday. The 7 principles of Unitarian Universalism, the 7th is one Matt named earlier and that I just read, in the form that we know them today, have been in place since 1985. The Unitarian Universalist Association of Congregations has been issuing social witness statements and calls to action addressing the climate crisis since the formation of the association in 1961. We've known for a long time. We've known for a long time the Earth is hurting. We have known that the actions and activities of humankind have been impacting this ferocious and fragile world we all inhabit for longer than those years would suggest. By the second half of the 20th century, it was becoming more and more challenging to look away from the changes human life was bringing to the entirety of our planetary system. There are those who still deny the truths the Earth is telling us. And yet the changes continue to pile up, and more of the population of the planet is affected, which means more and more people know others who are directly affected or are affected themselves. Denial of climate change is rooted in the same instinct that would deny or hide from any change: fear. Change means that what is ahead of us is different from what is behind us. Change means uncertainty. Change means not knowing. Change means you may not be right. Change means we might none of us be right. In his book, The Future of Ethics, Sustainability, Social Justice, and Religious Creativity, Professor of Ethics Willis Jenkins writes, "This is the greatest peril of climate change, that the accidental powers of humanity generate problems that exceed our moral imagination and defeat our abilities to take responsibility. And also, there is no response that can dissolve the problem by reverting Earth systems to a state in which humanity has insignificant influence." We started a thing that's not just too big for us to control, but to fully understand. And that is not to diminish the vital and growing work by climate scientists, ecological activists, socially and morally responsible companies who are striving to learn and to make changes as they go without knowing the certainty of the outcome. That, Jenkins argues, is the challenge of this change. What is our willingness to engage with change without seeking to rid ourselves of that uncertainty? The goal is not moral certainty. It is to make complexity and uncertainty generative. Generative of engagement, generative of imagination, generative curiosity, generative of, dare I say, more change. Because we cannot go backward. One last note from Jenkins: traditions endure by producing change. Wait, what? Traditions endure by producing change? Don't they exist to preserve what was before? It doesn't seem to fit at first. But after all, Jenkins is writing a text trying to engage religious creativity in the work of creating a sustainable world. If religious and spiritual traditions don't change to stay relevant to the world that humans find themselves living in, they will disappear. And speaking from the living tradition of Unitarian Universalism, this makes me feel glad and grateful for the work that our faith has engaged in to bring this crisis into the realm of our spirit, not just our bodies and not just our minds. It's a big challenge. We already did a little visualization with Matt and our tree out in the meadow, but I'm going to invite you into another brief moment of creative visualization. So make yourself comfortable as possible in your current seat. Close your eyes if that's comfortable for you, or just, reduce them to a soft focus and try not to pay any attention to anything in particular. And so when we think of our seventh principle, respect for the interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part, the big visual piece of that is the web. So I'd like you to imagine a web, any kind of web. It might be a spider's web, could be a neural network, a mycelial network, a traffic map, the internet, a crocheted afghan. Put a few details in your web. What on earth would a web look like that's big enough for all existence to be a part of it? Not all life, all existence. And now imagine something happening on another part of the web that's not near you. How does that information come to you? What do you feel in response? And maybe most importantly, where are you in this web? You can open your eyes if you had them closed. And it's really tempting. The first time I did this, I was absolutely in the center of the web. It's very tempting to put ourselves in the center of the web. We talk about the climate crisis outpacing our moral imagination. It can make something be like a field offensive. Like, what do you mean that we can't even think of the thing? But it's challenging for us to even imagine existence where we aren't at the center, because we are at the center of our day-to-day lives and our own experience, right? So learning to think on a broader level is challenging for our imaginations, and it's okay to admit that and to know it. That's why the problem is not a problem for individuals to solve by themselves. It was not created by single individual immoral acts. It is a problem of the collective, and there are as many ways to respond as there are strands, nodes, and turning points within that interdependent web. We must bring this crisis into the realm of our spirits, not just our bodies, not just our minds. Humans born in the later years of the 20th century, and of course the 21st century's first couple of decades, have never had the luxury of living in a world where the state of the world's climate wasn't cause for concern, worry, dread, despair, even existential crisis. When we feel that dread and despair, when we feel that crisis creating a personal crisis, we can become overwhelmed. The sense of overwhelm leads to a further sense of hopelessness and inaction. What action can we possibly take? Here's a not at all intimidating suggestion from yet another professor. Mike Hogue is the professor of theology, ethics, and philosophy of religion at Meadville Lombard Theological Seminary, which is my school. In an entry titled Sustainability and Climate Change for the Encyclopedia of Religious Ethics, he writes, If taking the ecological crisis seriously and fearlessly facing facts ruptures the very concept of a human moral future, and the concept of a human moral future continuous with the past is intrinsic to the form of human life that has brought about the crisis, then a religious, ethical approach to the crisis compels a reimagining of what it means to be human. Oh, is that all? No problem. What? What can that even mean? It's a real challenge for the imagination, but it also gives me an experience of curiosity rather than one of dread. It feels like an invitation. What's a different way of being human? Taking the ecological crisis seriously and fearlessly facing facts. Being human the way we've always done it will not be enough for us to approach the crisis. And I do mean approach, not solve, not remove. I'm not a climate scientist. I'm not a person employed in a manufacturing or extractive field. I try to use less stuff and throw away less stuff. I try to take shorter showers. I try to buy the majority of my clothing from thrift stores. But ethical consumption is still consumption. And an individual consumer cannot change the appetites of this huge and hungry world. We approach the crisis with curiosity. We approach the crisis with humility. We approach the crisis thinking of the whole and not only the self. We approach the crisis with accountability, knowing that humans are behind this crisis and humans must be the ones to address it. We think of the entire web. We stretch our imagination to those places it's hard to go, not just ourselves and our own place in it. We try to imagine a new way of being human where humans perhaps do not consider themselves central to the life of the earth, not entitled to all its riches, but instead as much a part of it as the tiniest phytoplankton or the largest whale. We mourn all that we have lost. We do not skip over the places where we feel hurt and feel despair. We acknowledge those feelings as real and as valid. We share our gratitude for the world with the world. It's been proposed by some Unitarian Universalists that maybe the seventh principle should be the first one, though they are not intended to be ranked in order of importance. In fact, they tend to move from the self outward. The first principle, of course, is we covenant to affirm and promote the inherent worth and dignity of each person. I have also heard it proposed that we should combine the first and seventh principles. Let's try it out. We, the member congregations of the Unitarian Universalist Association, covenant to affirm and promote the inherent worth and dignity of the interdependent web of all existence, of which we are a part. As we heard in our reading, what seems impossible may not yet be in sight. We may not be the ones to see it, but we can plant the seeds. And to me, that sounds like a new way of being human. May we dream that way. May we change that way. May we be that way. So may it be.
We celebrate the web of life, its magnitude we sing. For we can see divinity beauty in every living thing, a fragment of the perfect whole in cactus and in quail, as much in tiny barnacle as in the great blue whale. Of ancient dreams we are the sum, our bones link stone to star, and bind our future worlds to come with worlds that were and are. Respect the water, land, and air which gave all creatures birth. Protect the lives of all that share the glory of the earth.
Now, I want you to imagine for a moment a big, huge stone that you pick up and you throw it into a lake. What happens? A big splash, right? When we talk about climate change, a lot of people want to think about making big splashes. Now, what happens if you take a pebble and you drop it in the lake? Little ripples. But those ripples go on and 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 on. So we are going to pass out some beautiful stones. I want you to take one. And as we hold our beautiful stone in our hand, I want you to think about your intentions. What pebble you can drop in the lake of existence. Hold it. Keep your intentions. Hold it and pray on it, meditate on it. Imbue your rock with the good energy of your small pebble that will provide the world with a little good energy. As we do that, we have a poem to read to you that will help you think about the wonderful, small little pebbles that you can drop into the world to cause tiny ripples that extend outward. And as we read, we have two bowls of water. We have one up here and one right over here. So as we are reading, I encourage you to slowly process up and drop your good intention for climate change and rejuvenation into the world. Technology. Drop a pebble in the water. Just a splash and it's gone. But there's 100 ripples circling on and on and on, spreading from the center, flowing on out to the sea. And there's no way of telling where the end is going to be. Drop a pebble in the water, in a minute you forget. But there's little waves of flowing, and there's ripples circling yet. And those little waves of flowing to great big wave have grown. You've disturbed a mighty river just by dropping in a stone.
Drop an unkind word or careless, in a minute it is gone. But there's 100 ripples circling on and on and on. They keep spreading, spreading, spreading from the center as they go, and there is no way to stop them since you started them to flow. Drop an unkind word or careless, in a minute you forget. But there's little waves a flowing, and there's ripples circling yet. And perhaps in some sad heart, a mighty wave of tears you've stirred, and disturbed a life that was happy, ere you drop that unkind word.
Drop a word of cheer and kindness, just a flash and it is gone. but there's 100 ripples circling on and on and on, bearing hope and joy and comfort on each splashing, dashing wave, till you wouldn't believe the volume of the one kind word you gave. Drop a word of cheer and kindness. In a minute, you forget. But there's gladness still a swelling, and there's joy a circling yet. And you've rolled a wave of comfort, whose sweet music can be heard over miles and miles of water, just by dropping one kind word.
We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
We extinguish the chalice here, so that it might glow gently in our hearts. May it light your path as you leave this place. May it guide your way until we are together again.
Our worship has ended. Our service begins. Take the message this week. Take all the beautiful images we have thought of and the things which may scare or intimidate us, and bring the potent power of your imagination and your dreams to bear, so that this world may benefit for all who live to see it. So may it be. We'll have our closing song, Blue Boat Home, which I think everyone can join in on and loves deeply.
Still my dry land heart can say, I've been
This song leads us to imagine that we're all boats sailing around on our blue boat home, the earth. It's a beautiful idea, and it certainly makes us want to take good care of the earth, its lands, and its waters. That's a big job, and we can't all do it all at once or by ourselves. But we do our best, and we can do a lot of little things to help, which segues us into our Earth Day activities. Matt's been working hard, and we have a lovely set of things for you to do outdoors today on this beautiful Sunday morning. We're going to have like scavenger hunts, and we're going to make crafts out of things we find. Please don't take things off trees, things that have fallen to the ground, please, the things the earth has already given up to the ground. There'll be lots more details and information that you can learn. Please, all ages welcome. Please join us outside after service. Out on the labyrinth is where we'll get started. Thank you to everyone who had a part in our service today: tech, ushers, greeters, my worship associate, our wonderful staff, everybody who made it happen. And because it's Earth Day especially, although we are thankful for them every day, I want to give special thanks to our Building and Grounds Committee, a team of dedicated folks who keep this place absolutely beautiful. Now, 7 p.m. this Thursday, April 28th, UUCY member Greg Dwyer will share his perspective about the crisis in Ukraine. Greg worked for the Peace Corps in Ukraine in the 1990s and currently works in the same part of the world with the Department of Energy. You'll also hear from Pam Nicholson, a community activist who will be leading UUCY's effort to support a Ukrainian refugee family in York. Check the Tuesday email for details. It is also on the event calendar. If you are not sure where it is, feel free to reach out to one of the staff, holler, grab us, say, where do I learn more about this? It's at 7 p.m. on Thursday, and it will be available here in person and online. Our auction is live. UUCY.org/auction is the place to get registered, to place bids, to read the catalog. We do have a few print copies of the catalog available at the desk if you would like to pick one up, if the online doesn't work well for you. And please, 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 there's an incredible video made by our auction team. It's entertaining and fun, and it's going to tell you a lot about the auction, and it's all over our website. It's on our Facebook page, and it's on our homepage. If you just go to the main page at uucy.org, it is right there. So I want you to, they worked really hard on it, and I want you to make sure you take a minute or 23. It's a lovely, entertaining video. Pull it up on YouTube, maybe put it on the big screen at home and take a look. And because it is Earth Day, I want to give the floor over to Deb for a special announcement specifically from our Green Action Team.
So the Green Action Team is pretty excited. We've had many wonderful conversations about what we can do as a congregation. We can't do all those things, but we want to do what we think will resonate and be of most interest to the congregants. So we invite the UUCY members and friends to a special planning meeting next Saturday. And I think those that are here in person have received a little slip on this as a reminder. And for those of you online, write it down: next Saturday, 9 to 11, in the Carriage House. The purpose of this meeting will be to identify the top initiative or initiatives that UUCY wants to tackle to help address climate change. The Green Action Team has some ideas, but we want to explore what is of most interest to the congregation. We particularly hope to have our youth involved with this discussion, since they are the future. Learning and working together through effective environmental action, we will strengthen our individual and congregational commitment to our 7th principles. Please plan to join us next Saturday, April 30th, 9 to 11 in the Carriage House. Look in next Tuesday's e-news for more details. Thank you so much, and enjoy this gorgeous day.